Hi there! In this video, I'll show you how to organize your citations using Zotero. I have my Zotero application open on my desktop here, and if you remember from the previous video, the left-hand panel was where all of the organization stuff is. So let's spend some time here and I'll explain each of these items on the left. Right now I have my library highlighted, and that shows every single item that you've ever brought into Zotero. So this middle list is going to be every single item you've ever brought in, every PDF you've dragged in. Underneath that, there are these 4 categories that are pre-programmed into every Zotero application. So the first one is My Publications. And this is a category where you can drag items from your library into your publications. And it's a really useful tool to just keep track of your work. Underneath My Publications is Duplicate Items. This is really helpful if you're importing like a bunch of sources all at once. So what Zotero does is it compares the metadata fields of, I think, author, title, and DOI, some combination of the 3 of those. And if there's a match, it'll show up in this folder. So right now I have this item here, and I have it in here twice. So when I highlight it, it shows me in the details panel on the right-hand side the 2 versions when I bought them in, and you can kind of click back and forth to see what the differences are between them, and you can merge the 2 items so that you save all of the metadata or any changes that you've made to one, and then it collapses into one item in your library. So that's a really helpful tool as well. The category under that is Unfiled Items. And unfiled items are items that are in your library but are not in any collection. And I'll talk about collections in just a second. But anything that isn't in a collection is an unfiled items. I don't use this category too much. It's not super helpful for me, but that's just there for your use. And then trash is the last item here, and anything you move to trash, whether that's an entire line item, just an attachment, notes, whatever, will come into this section, and you do have to manually empty the trash every so often to truly delete items. So those are the categories that exist under my library and across the entire application. But now I'll move on to talking about collections. So Zotero has something called collections, and it's basically a folder. So if you click on this plus folder button, that's the new collection button. So if I click on a new collection, it'll ask me to name the collection. So test collection. And then you can see that folder is now nested underneath my library. To add items to this collection, I just go to my library and I'll highlight a couple things, maybe these 3 items, and drag them into the test collection folder. Now the items in the folder are not copies. The folder simply acts as like a funnel for your library. So there's still only 1 copy of this item, so any changes I make here, it's for the entire item. You can also create a sub-collection, so all you have to do is right-click and click on New Sub-Collection. And you can further funnel your items that way. This really depends on how you want to organize your research. You can have the main parent collection be the name of the class, and then the sub-collection can be each paper that you write for that class, or it could be by theme or something like that. Depends on your use. So after you have something, a collection folder structure set up, you can also use something called tags. So down here in the bottom left corner, I call this the tags bank, and it looks like there's a lot of tags here. And what's important to note is that when you bring items into your library, a lot of the tags are embedded on the metadata of the item that you brought in. So you haven't created any tags, but because it's on the metadata, Zotero is importing this information. And so all of those tags do appear here in the tags bank. So for example, if I have, let's say I'll click college students, it will filter out everything that was in my library with college students as a tag. And it looks like I have this one item. And if I click on it and I go over to my details panel and click on the tags tab, it'll show me all the tags associated with that item. So college students is right here. And if I want to get rid of the tag, I just click on the minus button. Or if I want to add a tag, I just click add. And I'll type in my tag, paper 1. And if I want to clear the filter, I just click on the tag again in the tag bank. So you can use your collections and your tags in tandem with each other. So for example, if I'm in this collection folder and I want to filter out further by information literacy, I can see that in that folder with the information literacy tag, I have this one item. So you can use those in tandem with each other. Maybe you're doing this by theme, so the theme and then the class, or however you'd like to organize your research. This is another way that you can really tailor Zotero to however you want to use it. So another way that is helpful to organize and view your items is using this middle panel, which has like the list of each of our items. The kind of like table headers here are, I think the default headers are title, creator, maybe date, but there are other fields you can use as headers to help you sort your items. So in the top right corner of the middle panel, so right under the search bar, there's this button right here. And it's really small, and I don't know why because it's kind of tricky to find. But if you click on that, it'll show you the types of fields that you can have as your table headers for the middle list section. So, for example, if I want to sort things by year, I'll click on year, and this year column has popped up. And so now I can sort by year published. So that can be helpful. You'll notice also that in the middle list here, some of the items on the left-hand side have this like arrow. And what that means is that the item has an attachment. So if I click on that arrow, it'll show me that the attachment for this item in particular is a PDF text. Attachments can be snapshots, PDF texts, notes, images. They can be anything, but generally, if you're bringing something using the Zotero connector, it's usually a snapshot of the web page where you pulled the item or a PDF from that web page. These attachments do take up space when we're talking about backing it up to the cloud, and your free capacity in Zotero is 300 megabytes. And after that, you will need to start paying $20 a year for an increased storage amount. An easy way to make that 300 megabytes really stretch is to delete these PDF attachments and just save them somewhere else on your computer. So the only thing that your Zotero application is backing up is just the bibliographic information, which does not take up nearly as much space as a very long PDF, for example. This PDF is also located in a very inconvenient spot. It's saved in the program file for Zotero, which is very difficult to find. So I would suggest you actually delete this item, this attachment, and then save it somewhere else in a folder structure that makes sense to you. On the flip side, if you needed to add something to your source, so if you needed to add an attachment to your source, you can easily highlight the item, right click, and click on Add Attachment and attach stored copy of file. And what that's going to do is it'll open up your folder structure and you'll just attach the file that you want to attach to that item in your library. This can be helpful for something like art history, or any visual medium class that you're taking. If you're, for example, writing a paper about a specific painting, maybe you want to attach an image of that painting to that item so you know what it's referring to, and you can easily see it. That would be an example of when you may need an attachment. But generally, if it's just the PDF, I would save it somewhere else so that you don't run out of that backup space that you have in Zotero for free. Now let's review the key tools for organizing your sources in Zotero. Use collections and tags to filter out sources in your library. Adjust column headings so you can sort and find sources easily. Attachments can be very helpful for items in your library. However, PDFs can be very bulky, taking up space, and they're very difficult to find in the program file. Remember that you only have 300 megabytes of free space to back up to your web library. Consider saving your PDFs somewhere else on your computer. And that's how you organize your citations in Zotero. Remember to reach out to a librarian if you have any more questions.